We'll quickly run through what we did last time, those 3-4 sentences, and then try to proceed further. A worse desire compelled her mortal birth. I think we had discussed that line in considerable detail. Try to see some of the important aspects which are present in this line, the occult, the spiritual, until that. Where worse desire compelled her mortal birth. See, well, I mean, this is a tradition. We have seen already in the first canto itself, the yajna, the sacrifice which was being performed, the air was vibrant and the altar flew. That was the call for the coming of the avatar. That call for the coming of the avatar, that yajna is for the arrival of the avatar himself. I would rather say that that particular passage of sacrifice of yajna in the first canto is a call for the birth of Ashwapati, the avatar. It is he who has to come down and then do this thing. He comes down and then he carries the worst desire, because it's a call from nature and from everything. He carries the worst desire to the Supreme Goddess and then compels her mortal birth. That is what this line means. A worst desire compelled her mortal birth. There is a call from the earth, the sacrifice is being performed, the yajna is going on, the fire is kindled, the flames are rising up to the sky, and that they should reach the topmost sky, it is this avatar who has to come and take them to the Supreme. That is the aspiration of mankind, of humanity, was desire which has to be strengthened and taken to the Supreme. So that is the yajna already there. So it is that worst desire which has now really brought down the avatar Ashwapati, and it is Ashwapati now who is compelling the mortal birth of Savitri. I would say that is the kind of a connection we have in the first line. One in the front of the immemorial quest. The mother speaks of this immemorial quest as something which is there even before the process started. Let me say exactly what she has to say. She says, this is the discretion of the one in front, of the one through whom Savitri was born. He is not purely human, but has his origin far high, very high, far greater, and whose existence is much larger than the existence of the earth. Than the existence of the earth. He comes upon earth, and then the process starts. His existence is much larger than the existence of the earth. Means he is there already, even before the earth came into existence. It is that immemorial. Because the earth is not there is no question of memory there, that immemorial. Even before the earth was there, he is there and things are happening. That one, as I said earlier also, that one is of course immediately in the context of Ashwapati, who is carrying the worst desire. But that one is greater than Ashwapati, than all that has come into manifestation as Ashwapati. He is greater than that one. And it is that immemorial quest, even before the earth was born, was created for a certain kind of an activity. There is something going on there. A protagonist of the mysterious play. He is the protagonist, the main character of the drama, of the play. Now, obviously, if this one is the protagonist, he is the main character of the drama, of the play, then what is the role Savitri is playing in the drama? Is she not a main character of this book called Savitri, of this book called Savitri, is she not the main character then? Now,
it could be two characters, why not?
There are two characters, but then he doesn't say that. Protagonist of the mysterious play in which, etc., etc. Basically, this line means that protagonist is the main character of the play, of the drama, of what is going to happen here in the unfoldment. So, if Ashwapati is the main character, then is Savitri's role a subsidiary role in the whole scheme of things? The answer is, in a way, yes. The answer is, in a way, no. We will see that thing in more detail. I have made some notes. This is a very puzzling line for me also, you see. Now, if the protagonist comes here from the Supreme, and the character is before the earth was born, it means that this is something not directly, immediately concerned with the process of evolution, involved in the process of evolution, as if you are seeing something from above. Or in other words, this protagonist, this Ashwapati, is someone who is not an evolutionary being. Maybe he is stepping into evolution, maybe he is initiating evolution, but he himself is not an evolutionary being. See. Now that is a bit of a puzzle to me. I have not been able to resolve fully what exactly that means, whether he is an evolutionary being or not. Certainly, immemorial quest means that he is not an evolutionary being. He started before the evolution started, you see. In words, he is an involutionary being. He involves himself.
The avatar, it's not an evolutionary being.
That is exactly the dilemma. See, that is exactly that. But as this stands here, what do you see from here? That he is an we are jumping up. You see, he is an involutionary being. If he is an involutionary being, he is a delegate, is a colony, is coming from above, from higher spheres and things like that. He is not jumping up from above, from below up, you see. In fact, I got a whole list of what is described here. In this sentence, we have got he as a protagonist. He is a protagonist. Then he is a thinker and a toiler. Then later on, he is a colonist. He is a colonist. He is a beam pointing on Earth's road. As you see later on, you see that a greater sonship. He is a greater sonship. He is coming from above already. You see, greater sonship, he says. A power is in him from the unknowable. A power is in him from the unknowable. He is an archivist. He is a treasurer of superhuman dream. His soul is eternity's delegate. Now, some of these phrases can be involution or evolution. Some of them can be definitely for evolution. But some of them, protagonist, his soul a delegate from eternity. Delegate is coming from eternity. He is not coming up as an evolutionary being, you see. So that way, I am not able to resolve that thing, frankly, what he is. The description what we are here, Ashwapati is presented as an involutionary being. As an involutionary being. He accepts the conditions as they are here, because there is a mysterious play, and in that context of the mysterious play, he is accepting the conditions of the play and stepping into the play. But that does not make him evolutionary. So now when we say Krishna is an avatar, Rama is an avatar, or we have got the series of 10 avatars. They are the direct descendants of the divine Vishnu, the creator himself. They are not, in that sense, evolutionary beings. They carry forward the evolution, which is a different thing, that they themselves being evolutionary beings. But at the same time, Krishna says that I have been coming here from time to time, yuge, yuge, age after age I come here. Age after age I come here, you see. Age after age I come here, you see. So that makes him an evolutionary being in a way, because he is carrying the evolution forward. The mother herself says, since the beginning of the earth, whenever and there was a possibility, I was present there. She is not coming as evolutionary, she is coming to carry the evolution forward, you see. In one of the letters, Shivandu says, what were you doing in those days? Shivandu was asked, what were you doing? I was carrying forward the evolution. He says that, evolution. I was carrying forward the evolution. So that gives you an idea that he is an evolutionary being also, you see. But at the same time, in one of the places, he speaks of my psychic memory. The moment he speaks of my psychic memory, it tells me these things, what happened in the past. My psychic memory. That psychic memory, psychic is a pure evolutionary being, entity, and that would make this avatar an evolutionary avatar, you see. So that is why I am saying I am not really resolved how the evolutionary being which is described here turns into an evolutionary avatar, you see. I don't know. We'll have to wait for some light, you see. Pardon?
But the avatar is normally not an evolutionary being. No.
You see, Mother herself says very clearly, Shivandu is a direct descent from the Supreme. Direct. She does not say anything at all. Direct. She uses the word direct. You see, emanation of the Supreme. Direct emanation. So that does not make him an evolutionary being.
That's what I always thought.
Yeah, that is. But at the same time, he says, my psychic memory. You see, now the only way by which we can resolve this thing is, yes, he is a direct emanation of the Supreme, which has taken place when the play began. And from that play onward, from that moment onward, then he becomes an evolutionary being. You see, that is perhaps one way of looking, but still it doesn't sound very convincing. What do you say? Kisko di?
Next time we ask.
Next time, well, we should get, yeah. Broad. Now he says, he is a protagonist of the mysterious play in which the unknown pursues himself through form and limits his eternity by the hour. See, now this is the play. He comes from eternity. He is stepping into the process of time, into the hours, and he manages to compress himself, limit himself into the process of time, although he had the entire character of eternity. And the blind voice struggles to live and see. The void is blind. You see, although it is a void, it is a person, but it does not know what is going to be the future. What is going to be the future? It cannot see at all. Therefore, the void is blind. But it is to remove that blindness of the void that this protagonist steps into the void. That blind void, it is for that purpose. To see, thinker and taller. How is he going to do that? How is he going to make the void see? By toiling, by the power of thought. He is going to take the void power, brought down. And what is he going to do with that? Brought down to us, dumb the radiant power. Now, although this is the immemorial quest, before the earth was born, when the protagonist comes here, then he brings down to earth the radiant power. He brings down to earth the radiant power. Why he brings down? That we have already seen. Because there is a problem of somebody standing in the way of the divine event, and that path has to be cleared, and only she can do that thing. He can't do that thing. He won't do it also. Only she can do it, you see. Now, this line brought down to us, damn it. Here it is brought down. There is an effort. There is an yogic tapasya behind it to bring her down. It is not simply brought down. He has done yogic tapasya. He has compelled her. By the force of his tapasya, he made her come down here, you see. See, in the mysterious quest we have 15.7. 15.7 you can see. We'll see that thing also in more detail later on. The absolute, the perfect, the alone has called out of the silence his mute force. The absolute, the perfect, the alone has called out of the silence his mute force. Now, although this sentence here in this passage has a kind of a metaphysical tone, but we can very easily link up with what we are doing here. The Absolute, the Supreme, is there alone. He is alone. He is that one. He becomes a protagonist, and he calls out of himself, out of that silence, his own force, his own Shakti. In other words, the birth of Savitri is actually the birth directly from him, in the occult sense. He has the Absolute there alone, and he calls out of the silence his mute force. He is there as a being. He is there means with him is also the divine Shakti, the executive power, the divine executive Aditi. She is always there with him, but she is in the state of silence. And she has been now asked to come out and initiate things, so that things can get going. He has called her out of that thing. So it is in that context you can see that he brought down. It means that, well, here it is a compulsion, here it is a process. The Absolute, the Perfect, the Alone has called out. Called out means a compulsion again. Yes, come on, get going now, start the work. He is telling to his Shakti. So, this divine Shakti is now is brought into action, out of silence. She has been brought into action. That is what it actually means here. So, what we can see is that this her here, Savitri, is in fact the divine Shakti of Ashwapati himself. Savitri is, who is Savitri? She is the divine power of Ashwapati himself. She is there in him, and he is calling, come on Savitri, now come out and start your work. He was a spirit that stood from large sphere. Very clearly now the process of avatarhood, of coming down here, of the descent. Also, he was a spirit that stood from large sphere. He is not springing from below. You see, the involutionary nature of this one is again present here. You see, into our province of ephemeral side, a colonist from immortal. Why? He has stooped down, bent down, come down, accepted the conditions of this creation, of this mortality. Why he has stooped down to these conditions of mortality? Because he wants to build up a colony of immortality upon a place, a location, a region, a realm for the divine work. Once that colony is built, that location is for, the attention is kind of focused, and from that then it can spread and go around and expand. You have a Matri Mandir as a place of some action, of activity, where you concentrate the effort and then expect that it will go around and spread everywhere. So that is a kind of a colony. The mother has built up a colony here in that sense, you see. A colonist from immortality. He has come, of course, again, from immortality he is coming, you see. Everywhere he is coming from above, stooping down, coming down, bending down. All those things are the involutionary aspects of this one. A pointing beam on earth's uncertain road. So again a beam is coming down, and that road, that beam is now showing the road for the earth. Earth's road is uncertain because there are all kinds of forces working here. Whether this will happen or that will happen, it is left to the play of forces, but this beam is there now, a pointing beam on earth's uncertain road. His birth held up a symbol and a sign. What we saw last time, symbol and a sign, you see. I will say this symbol. So in other words, this symbol is coming into birth, into the mortal world. He is stepping down into the mortal world. Is a symbol which is there since he brought down to earth's dumb need her radiant power. The connection of this symbol is with the coming down of a radiant power, a pointing beam on earth's uncertain road, his birth. Now he says birth, you see. Held up a symbol and a sign, his human self. So he has become human now. He has accepted the condition of humanity, of mortality. Self, like a translucent cloth, covered the all-wise who leads the unseen world. So he has now taken the human form. He has come to this point of human form. And although he is in human form, he is always still divine. He is simply putting on that cloak, leads the covered, the all-wise. It is the all-wise who is there with him behind this cloak, who is leading the world. The world does not see, but he sees and leads the world forward. You see him affiliated to cosmic space and time. Now he is coming into the play of the universe, universal play, you see, cosmic play, space and time, and paying here God's debt to earth and man. See, the narrative is running so fast that you have to supply in between many details, you see. You have to supply many details, you see. And being here, God's debt to earth and man. Why he has come down? Why he has stooped down? Why built a colony and all that thing? Because God has to pay a debt to earth and man. God has to pay a debt to earth and man. A greater sonship was his divine right. Yes, he is up there. He has taken the human birth. Although he has taken the human birth, he is here midst earth and men. His sonship is always the heavenly sonship. A greater sonship was his divine right. By his native right, he is always divine, although he has taken the human birth, you see. Now, debt. We have 8 occurrences of the word debt in Savitri. We will quickly run through them because it's an important thing. Actually, there are 8 occurrences, but I will say essentially there are 6 passages connected with debt. In one passage, the word debt occurs 3 times. So, it is not 8, 8 minus 2, you see. On the bare peak where self is alone with naught, and life has no sense, and love no place to stand. She must plead her case. He is talking about the dilemma of Savitri. In the work of Savitri, we have seen already in the first canto. She must plead her case upon extinction's verge. She is standing there, yes or no, die or live. Actually, this is also the prophecy which was made by Narad. A day will come, we stand on a brink of it. She must plead her case upon extinction's verge. In the world's death cave, uphold life's helpless claim. That is what, in death's cave, she must uphold life's claim. She must lie with her and vindicate her right to be and love. Yes, although she is in the death cave, she wants to assert her right to love. She cannot give up that right for loving, although she is in the death cave. For that purpose, what she uttered must be nature's harsh economy. Acquaintance she must win from her past. In order that she does that thing, she must win acquaintance from her past. The past bond must be acquitted. The past which is blocking the future, her right, native right, that is buried by the past, is coming the way. It is that past. An old account. She must acquit past bond, strike out from time the soul's compound debt. She must strike out the soul's debt. She must write off the old account of the past. And the slow revenge of unforgiving law and the deep need of universal pain. She must remove that thing and hard sacrifice and tragic consequence. Out of timeless barrier, so this barrier is there right in the beginning, so to say. Penetrate with her thinking the voice of monstrous soul. Look into the lonely eyes of immortal death. That is what she should do. Look into the eyes of immortal death and transfigure him here. Then the next appearance is what we are doing here, affiliated to cosmic space and time, and paying here God's debt to earth and man. A greater sonship was Ashwapati's, his divine right. His divine right, his greater sonship, that he is the son of God. That is what it means. He is the son of the Supreme. Then this passage, what we have just now seen, the absolute, the perfect, the immune, one who is in us as our secret self. He is there in our secret self. Our mask of imperfection is assumed. It is this absolute, he has assumed a mask of imperfection in us. His image in human measure, that, why he has assumed? That to his divine measure we might rise. See, he assumed that mask so that we might rise. So, in other words, already a kind of a distinction is made between we and him. He has assumed a human mask. He comes as an evolutionary being. He assumes a human mask. We are there as humans. Has assumed a human mask. His image in the human measure, that to his divine measure we might rise. Then in the figure of divinity, the Maker shall recast us and impose a plan of Godhead on mortals more. For what purpose? He has assumed that mask, so that a plan of the Godhead is imposed on the mortal, lifting our finite mind to his infinite, touching the moment with eternity. This transfiguration, this change, this transfiguration is us due to heaven. Earth demands that thing from heaven. A mutual debt binds man to the Supreme. Both ways. He has assumed he has created this world, therefore he owes a debt to this world. We have also something to pay back. A runa. Debt is called runa. Runa. In Sanskrit it's called runa. Means something which is accumulated in the past, which is there with you always, which you have to pay back, you see, runa. Means a kind of an obligation. It's a kind of an obligation, you see. His nature we must put on as he put our we are sons of God. Then we become sons of God and must be even as He is already a son of God, but He wants us to become the sons of God, you see. That is the debt He is paying, you see. Okay. The Son of God. Now, this is a passage we have seen in narrow speech. Why does He suffer? Savior comes here in narrow speech, 108 point. The Son of God, born as Son of Man. That is exactly the description we have got here. The protagonist is the Son of God, born as the Son of Man. He has accepted that thing. He has drunk the bitter cup. Although this is in the context of Christ, it is for the avatar, you see. Has drunk the bitter cup, own Godhead's debt. Yes, the Son of God He has taken here as a Son of Man, has become a Son of Man, and He owes this debt. The debt, the eternal owes to the fallen kind. So it's a mutual debt again, you see. His will has bound to death and struggle life that yearns in vain. Now is the debt paid. Now is the debt paid. That is what Narada is saying. Yes, that old account has been settled. The score has been taken care of, you see. Now, he says now. Now means what? Ashwapati had done the yoga. Savitri has found the divine lover here. And she is now firm, in spite of all the difficulties, to be always with her lover. With that, she has paid the debt. Debt? Okay, so what? I am not going to give up my lover for that purpose. That is the debt she has paid. It's a very great decision in that sense in the spiritual history of the evolution. Yes, this is a calamity, there is a personal challenge for me and all that kind of thing. So what? And it is by that she is paying the debts of God. The eternal suffers in a human form. And then the next one is of a different kind. Yama has taken away the soul of Satyavan, and he is going to his place, Yama. And Savitri is following. And she is following through the country of Yama, dark country. In this black dream, which was a house of void. What a phrase, you see. In this black dream, which is a house of void. This is the black dream. Means Yama's land, Yama's region, Yama's realm. There is a black dream in a house of void. A walk to nowhere in a land of naught. Ever they drifted without aim or they, Savitri and Yama. Savitri is there behind Yama, Yama is there. In front of both of them is the spirit of Satyavan. And they are drifting through that black void. In some positive non-beings, purposeless, positive non-beings, purposeless was, what an oxymoron, positive non-beings, purposeless was, through formless ways, dumb and unknowable. It was as if she must pay now her debt. She is following her, yes, that is the debt she has to pay again to Yama. Her vain presumption, what is the debt? What is her presumption? She thinks that I am here. Vain presumption to exist and think she wants to be. This most she must absolve with endless pang. Her deep original sin, what is the deep original sin she has done? That she has entered into the land of Yama, into the land of death. That is the original sin she has done, you see, in the world of mortality. And what is it? The will to be, even in this land of mortality, she wants to be, will to be. And the last sin, greatest, the spiritual pride. She is carrying the spiritual pride. So this is the sin she is having. Why the spiritual pride? That even in this material world, in this world of death, there can be the expression of the spirit. That it can become spiritual. That is the kind of an assertion she has, and that is the pride. And she has to pay the price for that. Savitri is paying the price for that. here, you see. And the last occurrence is of a slightly different kind. To be the common man, they think the best, the common man. To live as others live is their delight. For most are small on nature's earthly plan. Yes, we are small little creatures, you see, on the plan of nature. Who are we? Tiny small creatures, you see. And owe small debt to superior plane. Yes, we do, but we don't pay really our debt. We don't pay our debt to the superior plane. We are not paying at all any debt. The human average is their level paying, a thinking animals, material range. Our range is material range, small thinking range. Well, this is what we have here. So that was a journey of God's debt to earth and man. You see, a greater sonship. So this sonship, although it has a kind of a theological color, the Christian color, but it is not really Christian color also. The Rigveda makes it very clear about Agni. Agni is the son of force. Agni is the son of strength, son of force. And it is he who is doing all this work in the mortal world. Agni is doing all this work in the mortal world. He is called the immortal in the mortal. He is called the immortal in the mortal. He comes here. He has been asked by the gods, Agni, go and live in mortality. And Agni accepts. And it is there he is doing his work in mortality. That is his sonship. So that is how you can say that the appearance of Agni, of the psychic being itself in a way, is a process of evolution. That it steps into here and then takes the evolution forward. That itself is a process of evolution, you see. He has been asked to go to mortality and do the work in mortality. The immortal in the mortal. What a beautiful phrase, you see. Martyashu amartyam. Martyashu amartyam, you see. Although consenting to mortal ignorance, consenting, yes, that is what Agni says, okay, because the gods are, see, in the passion of the gods, the Vamadeva, Rishi Vamadeva speaks, it is in the passion of the gods that Agni has stepped into mortality. God wanted to do some work in mortality and they sent Agni and Agni accepted. Although consenting into mortal, therefore consenting, he accepted that. Consenting into mortal ignorance, his knowledge shared the light of heaven. Although he is in the mortal world, he is the world of ignorance, he is always in the light of the ineffable, inexpressible, you see. That does not go away. Although Agni is in the world of darkness here, it does not mean that he has become dark. His knowledge is always there, his light is always there, you see. A strength of the original permanence entangled the moment and its flow. He kept the vision of the past behind. A power was in him from the unknowable. A power was in him from the unknowable. A power was in him from the unknowable. Exactly what we are seeing. The absolute, the perfect, the alone has called out of silence his mute force. Absolute, that is the original permanence. Original permanence, that is the absolute, the perfect, the alone, has called out of his silence his mute force, that strength. So this line actually speaks of that. The absolute, the perfect, the alone has called out of silence his mute force, who was lying there already. A strength of the original, permanent, entangled in the she has now come in this creation. Therefore, she is entangled in the flow of time, you see. He kept the vision of the vast, but his vision of the Brahat, of the wide, of the one is always there. A power was with him, was in him, from the unknowable, from some indescribable source. There is a strength in him, always there, and it is because of that he is doing that thing. In other words, the strength here is a power from the unknowable, and the strength of the original permanence. So if this original permanence is Ashwapati and the strength is Savitri, then that power, Savitri, is a power from the unknowable. That power, that strength, that Savitri is from the unknowable. That unknowable, permanent, original, permanent, indescribable, absolute, an archivist of the symbol to the beyond. So, he has become now an archivist. See, this is the description, goes on. You see, he has become an archivist, a treasurer of superhuman dreams. He bore the stamp of mighty memories and shed the grandiose ray on human life. Mighty memories. He bore the stamp of mighty memories and shed the grandiose ray on human life. Well, his memories of the place from where he has come, that he does not forget. The memory, the place from where he has come, it is those he is bringing down here and seeing here. The mighty memories, he bore the stamp of mighty memories and shed the grandiose ray on human lives. What are the memories? To bring out the future, the brighter future, you see. His days were a long growth to the Supreme, long growth. He has come here in the mortal creation, and therefore he has to grow now in the mortal creation. But the whole process of that growth is a long process. It goes on through eons, kalpas, yugas. It goes on, you see, eons, kalpas, yugas. Where? Back to the Supreme, where from he has come. A skyward being nourishing his rule on sustenance from occult spiritual. A skyward being, he has become a skyward being now because he has taken the place in earth and he is aspiring now for the supreme possibilities. Therefore, he has become a skyward being, rising up like a tree, up, you see, nourishing his roots on sustenance from occult spiritual fount, climb through white rays to meet an unseen sun. That is his attempt. He has come here in the darkness of night, and his attempt is now to see the sun which is not seen in the darkness, you see. Here. The light which is there but hidden now, it is that he has to discover first, you see. A skyward being nourishing his roots. So he is describing him as a tree, and the tree is nourishing, is getting the sustenance from the soil. Now, from the occult spiritual source, the tree is getting its nourishment from an occult spiritual source. The tree is getting its nourishment from an occult spiritual source. Now, what is that occult spiritual source? Occult, hidden, secret, in the working of nature, in the working of luminous nature. The possibilities, the spirit which are there, it is from that source he is drawing the nourishment. It is from that source he is drawing the spiritual of light and spirit which is present here. It is from that he is drawing the nourishment and going upward, growing like a tree up there, you see. A skyward being nourishing his root on sustenance from occult, spiritual, occult. They are there in the depths of nature, locked there. The possibility of the spirit, of light, of force, they are there, you see. Energy is there already. That energy is there, that force is there, that light is there in nature. It is from that spiritual source he is drawing the nourishment and climbing up. Climb through white rays to meet the unseen sun. His soul lived as eternity's delegate. His mind was like a fire rustling heaven, his will hunter in the trails of light. Now this is poetry, you see. This is poetry, you see. His soul lived as eternity's delegate. Eternity's delegate. See, again, same thing. He comes as a delegate, as a representative of the eternity. You see, again, a representative of eternity. He is not somebody who is here. He comes. Now, whether he comes as an involutionary or evolutionary, that I don't know. But his soul lived as eternity's delegate, you see. His soul lived as eternity's delegate. An ocean impulse lifted every breath. It is such a powerful kind of a wide, jumping up like an ocean. Each action left the footprints of a God. So that is the majestic work he is doing. The great, sublime, powerful work he is doing. Each action left the footprints of a God. Each moment was the beat of puissant wing, powerful wings of an eagle. And it is on those wings of eagle, the golden eagle is climbing up, you see. Each moment was a beat of puissant wing. So his body is such a bird, you see, climbing up, drawing nourishment from the occult spiritual founts. The little plot of our mortality. Yeah, well, this is the greatness of we. After all, in the entire scheme of this creation, ours is only a small little plot. But we prize so much. This little, small little earth, we prize so much. That's why this tenant from the heights became, he is a tenant. He is not a native of this place. He has hired a room here. He has hired an acre of land here to live. A playground of the living infinite, this bodily appearance. But although he has taken there as a human, he is talking about the human now, as a delegate of eternity, he is talking about that thing. This bodily appearance, although you look at his avatar as a human, but he is not really that human. There is something behind him. More luminous, powerful, occult luminous. Touched by his, this bodily appearance is not all. The form deceived. Yeah, we are deceived because we see through the eyes of mind. What we see through the eyes of mind. Therefore, we are deceived. The form deceived. The person is a ma. Yeah, we say, this is Shriyabandhu, this is mother. We are deceived as human. But the divine personalities which are there, that would only hid deep in man, celestial powers can dwell. He is kind of generalizing it. His fragile ship conveys through the sea of years an incognito of the imperishable. So that incognito is traveling in a fragile ship, that little soul which is there, the immortal in the mortal, Mamaya Amsha, Jiva, small little soul which is there in us, it is that. His fragile ship conveys fragile because it is subject to all kind of attacks of this creation. It is not strong enough to bear the powers which are hostile, their strength, their attacks. It is not able to bear it. His fragile ship conveys. So this is a ship in which that immortal is living, that incognito is living, and he is carrying forward this imperishable. The spirit, a spirit that is a flame of God, abides. A portion, a fiery portion of the wonderful, that flame of God is a fiery portion, flame of God. Divya Agni which is there, Divya Agni which is there in a small little flame which is there, Jwala which is there in a, is a fiery portion. It is only a bit of the Supreme. It is Amsha, a bit, a small little part only of the Supreme. It is there. A fiery portion of the wonderful, wonderful, Adbhuta, amazing, splendid, marvelous, miraculous, Adbhuta, Adbhuta, Adabhuta, Bhuta means the elemental presence. Adi, first, Bhuta, being, it is He that wonderful. The first, Ada means Adi, first, Bhuta, being. The first being, that is that wonderful. If you translate that wonderful as Adbhuta in Sanskrit, is that wonderful. An artist of his own beauty and delight. Therefore, he is wonderful. He is Adbhuta. Artist of his own beauty and delight. Immortal in our mortal poverty. This is literally taken from the Rig Veda. Immortal in the immortal. Agni is described as the immortal in immortal. Amartyam marteshu. Amartyam marteshu. Amartyam, immortal. Marteshu, immortal. Amartyam marteshu. The gods have sent inwards. The Rishi is saying, the gods have sent inwards you, the divine worker. The Agni has been sent by the gods inward. You, the divine, because you are a divine worker. They who are forever with one passion, the gods who have one passion, it is these gods who have sent you inward. Agni has been sent inward by that passion. What is the passion of the gods? To bring light, to bring power, to bring joy, to bring sweetness, bring love, harmony, beauty in this creation. That is the passion of the gods. And with that passion, they have sent Agni inward within us. Why the Agni is there? So that these powers get expressed here. Oh Agni, with the will they sent you in. With the will. Yes, it must happen. You have to do it. That is with that will. So the force, the thrust of the gods is there in sending Agni inward for that purpose. He is the immortal in mortals. He is immortal in mortals. Amartyam yajata marteshu Amartyam yajata marteshu Amartyam. Immortal. Marteshu, the mortal. No, it's all right now. It doesn't go easily. So, he is the immortal in immortal. You see, that is the character. It is Agni who has been sent into this world, within us. Go inside and do God's work inside. Immortal in our mortal poverty, obviously. Lack of spiritual merit in us. It is to uplift him up. A fiery portion, mamai ansha, portion, ansha is a portion, bit. That is what the Gita says. I am there within you as a small bit. I am there within you as a small bit. That psychic being, that Chaitya Purusha, I am there within you small. A spirit that is a flame of God. It is he who abides in man. A spirit that is a flame of God abides. A fiery portion of the wonderful fiery portion. You see, Adbhuta, the elemental marvel, you see. Artist of his own, what a wonderful line. Fiery portion is wonderful. Artist of his own beauty and delight. He is the creator of his own delight, his own beauty, his own joy, you see. Immortal in our mortal poverty. So that is what the work of Agni is within us. Agni is doing that. The psychic being is constantly doing that work in us and we are not aware of it. The sculptor, because he is a worker, and what kind of thing? He makes forms of the infinite. He sculpts forms. You know, this great unrecognized inhabitant, initiate of his own veiled mysteries, hides in a small dumb seed his cosmic thought. His cosmic thought. Hides in a small dumb seed. So all that thing is there in a small little seed. Dumb, it is not expressing, but that luminous seed is there and it is hiding all that thing. In the mute strength of the occult idea, determining predestined shape and act. Passenger from life to life, from scale to scale, changing his image self from form to form, he regards the icon growing by his gaze, and the worm foresees the coming God. The whole course of evolution is described in one single line, you see. In the muse strand of the occult idea, there is an occult idea, powerful idea, luminous idea. It has a power also, and it is because of that idea. Yes, there has to be a divine creation here. Yes, there has to be divine beauty and love and joy here. That is the idea working deeply within us, which has not come out in expression, therefore occult. The muse strength to the occult idea, determining, predetermined, predestined shape and act. So, shape and act are determined by that. Shape, well, you have gone through the entire process of evolution. Earlier, you were a fish, then you were a tortoise, then you were a it goes on like that. You have come plant, animal, the Rakshasas, now you have become human being, you will become somebody else also tomorrow. So, the entire act of passenger from life to life, from scale to scale, these are the climbing scales, you see. Changing his image self from form to form. He remains as it is as self, but what keeps on happening, it is the evolution of form. The consciousness is the same, but the evolution of form is taking place. See, to the entire course of history, form to form. He regards, and therefore he regards the one who is there within, he regards the icon, the image itself as if growing. You say, image is a statue, but the statue is growing. And it has a gaze, it is looking forward, you see. And in the worm foresees the coming of a God. So that is the future possibility. Yes, the worm has already become man, and he is going to become God. He already sees that, because there is that from scale to scale, from form to form, that growth, that evolution is there constantly, you see. Now here, passenger from life to life, passenger from life to life, the immortal, as we have seen just now, he is a passenger also. He has in fact two functions. He is a traveler and he is a worker. As a worker, he sees the growing form. As a worker, he sees the growing form. From scale to scale he goes. Agni is the builder of forms. Agni is the one who gives shape and size and dimension to the material objects. Agni gives form, you see, Agni. But how does it do? By becoming a traveler from life to life. He takes birth, does some work, again comes and does some work, again comes and does some work. From birth to birth, he keeps on doing that work from life to life. Therefore, he is a passenger, he is a traveler. That is what the Vedic verse also says. Agni is a traveler, Agni is a worker. As a worker, he is doing these things. As a traveler, he is going from birth to birth, carrying the evolution forward of the individual soul. From birth to birth. Passenger from life to life. See, in one phrase, how much he has packed? People say, do you believe in rebirth and all that? Who cares about that? It's not a question of believing. It is a question of a necessity. Rebirth is a necessity, because that is how you will grow, that is how you will expand, that is how you will go from form to form, that is how one day you will become God. Only when you go through the process of birth and birth and birth constantly, you see. So this is a question of belief, it is a part of the process, you see. Well, he uses the word here, traveler and passenger. At last the traveller in the paths of time arrives on the frontiers of eternity. On the frontiers of eternity, that is the coming God. Agni has brought the evolution now so much that at last the traveller is the Agni within us who has now come to this point. At last the traveller in the paths of time, he has accepted the process of time, arrives on the frontiers of eternity. Now, what is going to happen after the arrival at the frontiers of eternity, that he is not concerned at the moment. Yes, we have arrived at the frontiers of eternity. From that point onward, will become the play of eternity itself in this creation. Agni will spread that play of eternity itself in this creation. That is the new race, the divine possibility expressing itself in manifestation. At last the traveller in the paths of time arrives on the frontiers of eternity, in the transient symbol of humanity draped. Well, in humanity he is draped, he feels the substance of undying self. He always sees that. Although he is living the mortal world, he knows that there is something undying in him. He knows that and loses his kinship to mortality. Therefore, he is not really bound by mortality. A beam of the eternal smites his heart. His thought stretches to infinitude. All in him turns to spirit vastnesses. All in him turns to spirit vastnesses. Vastnesses of truth, vastness of truth, vastness of beauty, vastness of love, vastness of delight, vastness of power. All those vastnesses are there. He turns to that thing. So this is turn to spirit. This is what the passenger is there. This is what the traveller is there. This is what the divine Agni is doing in immortal. The divine Agni is doing in immortal. His soul, see, with that kind of a progress, what is the culmination? His soul breaks out to join the oversoul. From below here now, he is joining up the oversoul, you see. Climbing up from womb to God, he is diving up now the oversoul. His life, his ocean, but super life. The super life itself is now flooding him completely, you see here. His life, his ocean, but super life. He is, of course, we have seen already that he is standing for the sculptor and the muse strength of the occult idea and the passenger. Changing his image, passenger, he regards the icon growing by his beautiful. That flame, you see, basically, it is the fiery portion of the wonderful. The artist of his own beauty. His soul breaks out to join. What a wonderful thing has happened to him, you see. He has run from the breast of the mother of the world. Once he has become now that, he is taking directly the milk from the Divine Mother herself, the mother of the world. A topless supernature fills his frame. So he is not now anymore bound by the lower nature. He is now a child of supernature, of para-prakriti. She adopts his spirit's everlasting ground as the security of a changing world and shapes the figure of her unborn mind. That she, that para-prakriti, supernature, it is she, that world, mother of the world, that supernature. She saves the figure and the security of a changing world and saves the figure of unborn immortality. She conceives herself in him. Now it is that Paraprakriti, that immortal Shakti, who is conceiving herself in him, in the creature, the unveiled creatrix world. See, when he has climbed up to that point, then she starts working in him. It is the work which begins at that point. He has become kind of now one with her. The soul has joined the oversoul. When that thing has happened, then the supernature can really start working in him. Immortality, she conceives herself in him. In the creature, the unveiled creatrix, sees the worker. Her face is seen through his face, her eyes through his eyes, her being exists through a vast identity. They have become one. The mother of the world, and he then is revealed in man, the overt divine. When that Paraprakriti starts working in him and she is doing her work, then the divine is revealed in man. Man shall become God, worm shall become God. It will happen when? It will happen when his soul becomes a part of the oversoul. When the supernature starts working in him, then it will happen. A static oneness and dynamic power descend in him. The integral Godhead seal, his soul and body take that splendid stand. What a powerful line. A static oneness and dynamic power descend in him. The integral Godhead seal. Static oneness and dynamic power are the integral Godhead seals. Integral. It is not only static oneness. It is not just dynamic power, but they together are the stamp of Godhead. The true Godhead means both simultaneously, static and dynamic. The active Brahman and the passive Brahman working simultaneously, it is that which puts the integrality stamp on it. It is not just one of them. If you go only by the path of the passive Brahman, then ultimately what happens? You see that this world is mithya, this world is an illusion, this world is false, and you want to abandon and then go and disappear. If you follow only the path of the passive Brahman, because Brahman is not there, only up there you see silent Brahman. If you go by the dynamic path alone, there is a possibility that everything only is material creation and there is no spirit. There is a danger of that kind of thing also, you see. Well, apart from that, so metaphysically this is a very powerful thing in him, very powerful thing in him. The static oneness and dynamic power. The passive Brahman has descended in him. Also the active Brahman has descended in him. I will say this whole description is absolutely autobiographical. This whole description, all these things, I mean not just this thing, all that thing, delegate, etc., all that thing is absolutely autobiographical. So if you had to write Shivendu's life, it is this which should be presented. It is this which should be presented. All the things, he is like the, whatever he has described, all these 25 sentences which I got seen to you, they have really given you a preface of his biography. And he is describing himself. A static oneness and dynamic power. Static oneness, that was the realization of Shivendu around 1st January 1908 in Baroda. 1st January, we are now about this time. 1st January 1908. So 110 years roughly, you see, go, you see. Yeah, that was Shivendu's realization of the static Brahman, what he calls the silent mind in Baroda. That is what he received from Lily. They sat together for 3 days and he had the full realization of the static Brahman. Silent mind, he calls it silent mind, static Brahman. Everything is silent, 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 you see, completely. Around 1st January 1908, then on 5th May 1908, he was taken as a prisoner to Alipur jail. 5 months later. And another 2 months. So again, maybe around August 1908 or so, roughly, he had the full realization of the dynamic Brahman, the dynamic power. Full realization of the dynamic power. He saw everywhere God, 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 Vasudeva, 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 Vasudeva. The magistrate is there, the prisoners are there, the judge is there, the pleaders are there, the whole court. What does it see there everywhere? Vasudeva, 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 Vasudeva. The dynamic Brahman present everywhere in his action here. So both these two realizations he got within few months, just like that, you see. Now that cannot happen unless he has really done that kind of a long tapasya through several lives. He has kind of recollected them at the pretext of certain instances. That is the pretext of certain instances. All those things have come back to him, the static Brahman and the dynamic power, you see. So, the autobiography does not really confine itself from 1st January to 15th August of 1908. It extends over several lives. He has accumulated all that thing and they have come together now here in one single place, you see. Ecstatic oneness and dynamic power. Ecstatic oneness and dynamic power. What a line also, you see. Descended in him. He said, descended in him. It is not that Lele gave him the experience of silent Brahman. It descended in him. Vasudeva experience in the jail descended in him. He was not even struggling. It happened, it came to him. The integral, now he says, the word, you see how careful, he is more than mathematically precise. Integral, both together, complete, integral. Godhead seal, stamp, yes, both have to be together. The materialist and the spiritualist, all of them had come together for the integrality of expression. His soul and body take the splendid stamp, both, even the physical now, not just the soul, even the physical also is taking the stamp of integrality of Godhead. Godhead who is simultaneously static and dynamic. A long, dim preparation is man's life. Well, this has happened within few months, but it has been happening over a long preparation, you see. A long, dim preparation is man's life. A circle of toil and hope and war and peace. A circle of toil and hope and war and peace. Tracked out by life on matters obscure ground. In his climb to a peak, no feet have ever trod. He sees through a penumbra shot with flame, a veiled reality of half known, ever men. He search for something or someone never found. Cult of an ideal never made real here. An endless spiral of ascent and fall, until at last is reached the giant point through which his glory shines, from whom we were made, and we break into the infinity of God. We'll break down now and take it up next time. We'll break now and take it next time. It's a long passage, you see. Ecstatic oneness and dynamic power descended in him. Ecstatic oneness and dynamic power. That is how the line is scanned, you see. descended in, he said descended, came down upon him, you see. The integral God is sealed. Already the realization of integral yoga is here. It is from that point onward, his sadhana really started picking up the realization, the experience of supramental possibilities is present here. It is here, after this, he sees Krishna and Kali, even in the Alipur jail, you see, at that time, you see. And the work began. Krishna and Kali. Krishna, if you like to call static, Kali, the dynamic power. He said dynamic power, Kali, you see.